Yep. All right. Can you hear me now? Okay, my bad. Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. My name is Dwayne Dwyer. I go by the Mindset Coach.
And my name is D Uncle Jr. and I go by the consistency coach.
And we are your coaches for Coach's Corner. Listen, as always, if you guys are here just to listen to this for this moment in time and then take absolutely nothing that we say and do absolutely nothing with it, this may not necessarily be the place for you. But if you're looking to like get ahead, you're looking to be impactful and looking to make some necessary changes for the sake of growth and development, then you are in the right place. Not only are you in the right place, but we believe that you have been destined to hear the voices of myself, the mindset coach, and my brother, the Uncle Jr., the consistency coach, on this evening because I believe you're going to get something from this conversation. So, that being said, let me speak to my brother, the Uncle Jr. himself. How are you doing on this beautiful Tuesday evening?
How are you this afternoon, coach? How are you, brother?
I just
Look,
asked you that.
I know. I'm doing great, man. I'm running on fumes right now. But it's crunch time and I think we're going to have a great show because of it. You know what I mean? I had a long weekend. I ain't go to bed till after 2 Saturday night, Sunday night. Got back yesterday, had a track meet. I ain't even been home a good hour, about 45 minutes or so. So I'm running, but I think we're gonna have a great show. And honestly, like folks, look, so this is the first time when y'all heard Coach tonight. That was my first time hearing him too. So we were in the background. Is he froze? Oh, you good now. So we were in the background and stuff like this, and I typed in the chat. I was like, let's don't speak to each other until the show starts. So we ain't say nothing to each other. So this is
And
our first time tuning in and actually speaking to each other this evening. So again, how you doing, bro? Hold up. Somebody got some weak signal. I don't know if it's me or I don't know if it's coach. Chat, if y'all can hear me, let me know who's frozen or whatever. Let me know if it's me or let me know if it's coach. Um, just want to verify. All right. So they saying it's coach. So we're gonna give him a second, but I don't want to get too far ahead, but tonight's show he may go out and back in or whatever like that. So but tonight anyway, we want to thank everybody for being here. First of all, I'm gonna greet everybody. Start by name. So Miss Crystal Everett, thank you for being here. Miss Nick D, Adrian Walthorn, Renault Consideration, appreciate you. Did I say Adrian? Yep, Adrian Artist, thank you for being here. A, appreciate you. Shale, I know you in the background. Miss Charlotte Jordan, I'm sure you probably somewhere out there as well. So if y'all can still hear me, I'm gonna keep going on. Can y'all still hear me? If y'all can still hear me, give me a thumbs up or something like that. Oh, coach back.
yeah, I got
All
you.
right,
I don't know how.
all right.
I don't know for how long.
Oh, you just now you been gone for a couple minutes.
No, I got it. I got it.
Oh,
They were messing with the wires outside earlier today, like literally
oh
right at
okay.
5 o'clock. So it's one of those
Hey
things.
man. Hey, it be like that, man. So
Yeah, man.
yeah. I didn't already greeted the chat, man, but everything good on your end?
Yeah, man. All is well. I have no issues, no concerns. Tuesday, April 1st. This was our April Fool's
Mhm.
joke for y'all, by the way. I just hope y'all got that.
Yeah.
And yeah, man,
Yeah.
all is well. No complaints whatsoever.
Man, that's good, man. I talking to my brother today, and then he thought I was trolling him about something, but I wasn't. I was actually telling the truth. So we go through back and forth. We siblings. We got a great relationship. So um we always cracking jokes and stuff like that. Either whether it's between us or Charlotte Jordan. So we sometimes we be cracking on her too. So but hey, man, tonight we talking about time well spent, man, making room for what matters to most. I know I'm kind of at the point in my life where, my job is taken away from my hobbies, and I need, I got a couple more time, I got a couple more years, and I have a plan to throw it in and spend more time with family and things that matter most. So with that being said, man, I want to start off both the coaches. We're going to share, and we also want to share the chat to engage too. So we would want y'all to do is while we're sharing, go ahead and hit the like button and share this video with somebody. But I want you to respond to this question as well. So share one thing you used to waste time on but have since changed. So chat and coaches. So coach, I'll let you go first and then I'll follow behind you.
Just one? That's all you want? Just one?
No, you can as many as you want.
No, I'm gonna
Shoot.
stick. I'm gonna stick to it, man. And if it evolves from there, it does. Meaningless conversations.
Ooh.
Um, I don't find myself participating long in meaningless conversations. I try to be intentional about the things that I think about, intentional about the things that I talk about. Therefore, if it is something that is not of any value whatsoever, no substance, um,
Mhm.
I won't be in it long.
Mm. You said won't be in it long. I can agree with that. Yeah, because I was going to ask you, is it, is it all the time, or do you leave some room in there to give people a little bit of grace to start a little bit, but at a certain point cut it off. So I definitely get that, what you were saying. So one of the things for me was um TV. You know what I mean? I used to waste a lot of time watching TV. And it's been a long time since I've just consistently watched TV like all the time. I realized that every single day, brother, I was hearing somebody telling me about another show. And man, it is so much stuff to watch, man. I cannot ingest it all. Like, so at this point, man, I just have to pick and choose, and I have to be okay with not seeing things that other people saw. Like,
Yeah.
what's the big one that everybody saw? And I think I'm the only person that ain't see it. Some shows 8 seasons, 13 seasons about some dragons, or I don't know, some stuff. But
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, I ain't watched one episode of it,
Shame.
and there, but it's on my to-do list.
I'm about to say shame on you.
See, shame on me. Like I ain't watched Reacher. I think y'all was talking about Priest or something like that one time, and my sister, no, no, man,
No,
it was some. I thought it was some show that was like a one name title or something. But my sisters tell me about shows, and it's a whole bunch of people that tell me about shows. Man, I just can't watch all these shows.
yeah, I get it.
Mhm.
I think because I still watch some TV, but I watch TV
Yeah.
after I'm done doing the things that I need to do. And
Hmm.
sometimes, depending upon what I'm doing, the TV is in the background playing, and I'm still working on whatever it is. It's kind of like, for example, it's like white noise to me. But
Hmm.
there are some shows, like you guys remember Friday night. There are some shows that I tend to watch and get into, like the one I just got finished with last night was Suits. And
Suits. Yeah, I don't know why I said what did I say,
he said,
Priest or something.
Priest or
Yeah,
something,
Suits.
yeah. Um,
Yes.
And I'm telling you, for anybody who's ever watched Suits, it is well worth it. Like you got to watch the entirety of it to get to the last 3 episodes, and the last 3 episodes do not disappoint. But it's like, um, yeah, it's like, um, it's not just the TV show from the perspective of the writer and the intent and all that stuff. It's other stuff that I look for in there as well, and then I take those and bring them forward to have conversations with them. And then those conversations become fruitful based upon the understanding of the things that were experienced in that TV show or the lessons that came from that TV show.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. And it's a lot of things. Adrian Walthorne said daily phone calls that are fruitless. Same thing. I get it. Can't talk to everybody about everything. And then sometimes people want to call and download everything on you, and there's a time and place for it. But I'm no one's bucket all the time either. So there's time and place for it. But with that being said, man, there's a little stat out there. As of 2024, the average daily social media usage worldwide is approximately 2 hours and 23 minutes per user. In the United States, teenagers spend even more time on these platforms, averaging about 4.8 hours per day. I just threw the link in the chat for anyone who wanted to verify or look at it, or um, see where I pulled that information from. It was just an article. Definitely do your own research, um, and do your own research about it if you want to. So That's a lot of time, man. Almost 5 hours a day for teenagers. I'm looking at the average time that a child is in school. Our school starts at about 7:10. Kids are in the building about 6:45 a.m. The bell rings at 2:15 p.m. So by the time they're home, most of them probably home by 3 o'clock. So they got a lot of time, but a lot of that time is probably spent during the day on social media too. Because them kids always on TikTok and they be making TikToks in school and stuff, man. So um, that's funny. What do
That's
you
the
think about that, man? As far as that amount of time,
that
two
is the
point 3 hours for adults, but 2.5 hours for adults, and then 5 hours for kids or teenagers.
well, entertainment looks different today.
Absolutely.
These same individuals, like these kids that you're talking about, they probably spend more time. They probably spend that time on social media, to where other people they spend it watching TV. So it's like, you have, and then like, even with that being said, this is why I like statistics, but I also like
But
to ask the question behind the statistics.
hmm
That 2 hours and 23 minutes does not necessarily identify that they're watching like just meaningless stuff. Like they
hmm
could be looking at videos that help them to go in the direction that they're trying to lead their life. So
Yep.
that's kind of like what I say. Like I'm a fan of statistics, but I can create a statistic and just put a curve in it just a little bit and make you believe what I want you to believe.
Yep. And that's why I said make people go and do your own homework as well. Like Coach, we always say we are an expert of our own opinion. You know what I mean? So like Coach said, you can always twist data and information like that to um, suit whatever information you're trying to put out there. So I know we put that out there, but what's your biggest time waster? We talked about the one that we used to waste time on, but now, as we looking at currently, what do you think your biggest time waster is?
Mm, this is a difficult one for me.
Yeah.
Um, I don't do a lot of wasting time, so I'm struggling to find um, I'm struggling to find an answer for this, and here's why. Because I'm sure somebody in the back just say, "Yeah, you waste time. You got to do something." Sure, I do something, but it's intentional. If
hmm
I'm case in point, going back to the whole watching TV thing, that's intentional. That's not wasting time. That's decompression for me, because no one knows how many hours I spend sitting behind this computer or standing in front of a class teaching or on the phone giving somebody some much valued, mentorship and guidance and things of that nature. Scheduling appointments, reaching out for this, reaching out to do this, creating. Um, okay, as of recently, like building a website for the sake of something I want to launch here soon. So it's
hmm
like I don't think I have a biggest time waster, um, because I think for the most part everything that I do is rather intentional. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think that at a certain age, well, a certain level of maturity, that you understand that your space on this earth is limited, and we get to a certain point and we want to be very resourceful with the time that we do have. And we, like we said, we don't waste a lot of time doing a bunch of stuff. And then even sometimes for me, it's not what it's not a lot of time, but it is my biggest time waster, and that's probably sometime piddling around the computer, just piddling around the house. Like when I should be doing something, I'm just like, just pilling around. I'll go and move something to avoid doing some work sometimes, but that's not all the time. It's just probably sometimes where I'm not as locked in as I should be, or even as I could be, but like you, I definitely have things that people would consider wasting time, but like you said, it's intentional. Like when me and Shell um sit down tonight, or lay down tonight and watch, the next episode of Next Level Chef, that's intentional. That's being able to spend time with her, that's being able to watch a show that we both enjoy. You know what I'm saying? So we watching TV, but that's intentional, and like what you said, that 4.8 hours per day on social media, that's an hour right there of spending time together. So it's not in a negative tone. And so a lot of times, like you said, just because you're on these social media platform, because we on the social media right now for an hour. You know what I'm saying? So and then Friday we'll be on there for another hour and a half. So that's the Power Perspective podcast. See y'all there. Do we let me see. I'm gonna check the chat real quick. I try not to waste precious time on junk. Verlene McCoy, absolutely. Real quick, what does time well spent mean to you personally?
Um, it kind of goes back to what I just said, right? Like it's like being intentional about the time
Hmm.
that you actually have. At the age of 51, I got, in my opinion, I have to say it this way, I got more years behind me than I got ahead of me. So with that being said, I don't see myself wasting a lot of time doing things that do not add value, doing things that are meaningless. I'm not that guy that's gonna go in the club. I'm sorry. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
For people who do that, you know,
Do you?
good on them, right? But for me, I'm not doing that. I'm not wasting my time doing that. I prefer to spend my time doing something that there is going to be a return, whether that return is for me or for somebody else or something else, whether it is happening right now in real time or in the future. So when you look at time well spent, there has to be a return on that investment. So for everybody who is listening to this, I guess when you do your version of self reflection on this particular question, and I really would like to hear what you have to say in the chat. What does time well spent mean to you? What is the return on investment that you're getting in the things that you're doing?
For me, time well spent means being intentional with the time that I'm spending on whatever it is. Like tonight, when we spend that hour watching that show, that is time well spent. That's time that we have set aside, that we have devoted in our life to come together and do something together. So being intentional about your time and what you do with it, like you were saying, everything that you were saying as well. But here's the thing though, coach, we wasn't always here. We're 49 and 51 now. So there's there was a lot of growth from how we may have managed our time back in the day. Like you said, one of the things you was doing, you go in the gym and you used to be in there for a little bit, right? Now you've decided to adjust what you do with that time in your life. You know what I mean? Now you may work out for this amount of time at this point in your day. You know what I mean? And that may allow you to do adjust and do something different for your other day or however you do it. But what's something or habit or something that you've done to help you manage your time better?
Recognizing that the most important muscle that I need to work out exists between my two ears.
Mm,
When I started focusing on that, then it's not that it's not that working out doesn't matter. It's just that it didn't matter as much. It doesn't matter as much to me now as it did back then. When I go back and research the why, ask myself, why was I doing that? Why was I going to the gym 2 and 3 times a day, depending upon what week that you're in? The answer that I received kind of revealed a lot. And so,
mm,
in the midst of all of that, I recognize that sure, that you know strenuous workout and rigid eating regime that I had at that particular point in time, coaching other people in the gym and helping them, helping them gain muscle and lose weight and all that other great stuff. That was cool. But
mm-hmm,
at the end of the day, what was the ROI on it? And then fast forward, as I'm looking at that now, herniated disc, arthritis and knees, ankles, and you see what I'm saying? So that was really, in essence, the ROI. So it's like, did I receive the bang for the buck based upon what I was doing in that particular point in time? So I transitioned from working on muscles, right? The muscles that most people think about, to I started focusing on the most important muscle that exists between my two ears. When I started working on that, Now, in my opinion, decisions are being made better, being made more in a timely manner. Relationships are being nurtured. All of those different things. So I would say that is one habit that I adopted that helps me manage my time better. To think, have better thoughts. To think in the direction to where um, there is a return on the investment when it comes down to the time that you spend doing things.
Mine is mine's gonna sound real cliche, and that's schedules. Just writing schedule, writing things down. I am the most productive when my schedule is written down and I know exactly what I got to do. And I stick to it. The thing that I get the what gets me in trouble is I'll get overdo it, man. I'll write down a list of 40 things, 50 things, 100 things, and I will just look at it and try to mark it off little by little. And for me, that elephant is too big to eat even one bite at a time. So I can't eat elephants the way my brain works. I have to eat smaller animals, pigs or something that's a little bit smaller than the elephant that I can bite that I can chew in bite-sized pieces. I can do about 6 to 10 things on a good schedule. Um so for me, man, just being able to write a schedule down, stick to it, and then I've even been to the point, depend on certain schedules, to actually put times in it. So like I will have like 7 to 8 coach's corner, 8 to 8:30 download videos, 8:30 to 9 edit, and only stick to that time. Saturday morning, 9 to 10 edit video, 10 to 11 make them like different things like that. Like I have to stick like that because I'll be all over the place. I'll be bouncing around. And that's where some of my, back to the other question is, I'm moving around and doing different things. So one of my biggest time wasters is just being off task. So I find that as long as I write a schedule down, I'm easier to stick to a task versus just having a bunch of tasks in my head. Because every time I move, I see something else that needs to be done. If I go in the bathroom, I was like, oh man, I remember I was gonna do the baseboards in here. I go in the other bathroom, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna start. I need to finish painting in here or something like that. Then I go to the garage and I'm like, oh man, I need to clean it up. So all of these different things take me away. So I have to have schedules the kind of the way I think. But um again, as we have grown up to there's a lot of different things that we thought about productivity and getting things done. So what's a common myth, and also for the chat too, what's a common myth about productivity that you disagree with?
So before I get into this question, I want to kind of ask
Hmm.
a question about this question,
Hmm.
because it's broad scoping.
Hmm.
Um, when you say productivity, are you just referring to just doing work in nature, or are you talking about output of work? So I just want to understand exactly where you're going with this question before I respond, because I don't want to be off task.
Yeah, I would say the outcome of work. Common myth, yeah, the outcome of work. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Um, I would say one of the common myths that I disagree with when it comes down to productivity from that regard is that just being busy doing something will get me the outcome that I desire. Um, there's an old saying, practice make perfect, and that's a myth. That's not accurate. Perfect practice makes perfect. But then I always go back and ask, so how do you define perfect? Because at the end of the day, if progression is the key, then would not perfect now mean that I am progressing every time that I practice? So if perfect practice makes perfect, then that means every time I practice, I am getting better with the thing that I'm practicing. So when it comes down to just productivity, tasks, doing things, I think a lot of times we believe the more that we do, the more of an outcome that we're going to get. And that's not accurate. You can do something wrong and do more of that. And the only thing you're going to do is get tired. So I think we have to restructure the way that we look at things when it comes down to productivity. It's like doing the right things at the right times with the right people who have a common mindset that is focused on one end goal. So now we're looking at productivity from that regard. We can actually continue to practice doing that in that mindset, you know, group setting, one vision with the end state. And now what you're getting is a more productive unit as opposed to me just being busy, 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 right? Because that's what we do. We fool ourselves with that all the time. I'm busy. Everybody's busy. Stop kidding yourself. Your busy ain't no more important than anybody else's busy. When we understand that, then we'll stop using busy as an excuse and recognize that we probably got our priorities misaligned. And when we start looking at our priorities, we will adjust those, and that now drives productivity.
I get behind that. I like that. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with, how people always talking about, oh, you got to work hard, right? People always say, oh, you got to work hard to get whatever. And I'm not saying that working hard has its place, doesn't have its place, but I think in a standalone, you can't just use I have to work hard, because there are a lot of people who are working hard every single day, and they are not, they don't have the outcome of certain things in life, so I think working hard is, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just think that, it's a common myth that, some people that think that that's all they have to do. I think that there's a lot of different things that go into it, you know what I'm saying? um that's just my opinion when it comes to that. But I want to slide over to a what I want to do. Here we go. How about a scenario real quick? All right. Everybody gets up in the morning, and I know I've done it too. You wake up motivated by the end of the day, and you ain't accomplished nothing. And I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about, and you can attack it any way you want to, but I'm not talking about someone who wakes up motivated and then life just is busy. Not that way. I'm talking about when you haven't accomplished things because of whatever else that you were doing. So, um, what do you think happened to someone who woke up motivated, but by the end of the day, they've accomplished nothing?
My perception of motivation was flawed.
Mm.
Like, what made me think I was motivated where the end result of that motivation equated to nothing? What is my definition of nothing? Did
Mm-hmm.
I did I absolutely not accomplish nothing, or did I not accomplish the things that I had on my to-do list for that day? I would tell you that there are days I wake up, I'm motivated to do nothing because I look
Yeah.
forward to those days that I have scheduled to do nothing. So I think a lot of times what we have to do is, again, work on the muscle that works for you better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Work on that muscle. What made me think I was motivated? Was I just excited that I woke up? There's nothing wrong with that. You should be excited every morning you wake up. That's
Mm-hmm.
another day that you've been blessed to open your eyes. That is motivation by itself. That does not require me to look at that level of motivation and say, okay, productivity, productivity, productivity. That might be part of the problem that we exist in. And I'm telling you, we are struggling in that regard. We
Mm-hmm.
are so hyper strung to do something to where at the end of the day, what is the end result of the things that we're doing? So I'm going back to that, right? Because I think the what happened always starts between our two ears. What was I motivated about in the beginning? Why do you think you were motivated there? And the end result of that was nothing. Did I plan to do nothing? Then that's good motivation. Nothing happened. I plan to do nothing, right? I'm motivated to. I get excited when there's a day I have already planned to do nothing. I look
Yes.
forward to those days. So in that regard, absolutely nothing happened. In fact, if I say it this way, that what happened, everything I planned on happened,
Mm-hmm.
doing absolutely nothing. On the other hand, if I had planned doing something and I woke up motivated and I did absolutely nothing, then go back and ask myself, what was I motivated about? Clearly, I wasn't motivated about doing the things I said I was going to do. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that is always going to be the answer in that regard. Sure, life can happen. Some type of tragedy could have happened that took you off your schedule. You had to leave work or leave home or whatever that looked like, and you were gone all day. That's always a possibility, but that's not the norm. right? That's not the rule. That's the exception to the rule. So I don't want to talk about the exceptions because those don't profit us none. At the end of the day, when we look at stuff like this, what is to you motivation, right? What motivates you? And then in regard, what is the outcome of that motivation?
Definitely can't. I just want to add to, won't take away anything you're saying. I think the addition to this is probably may sound similar to what you were saying, but um I think, like you said, that level of motivation. I think sometimes we depend a lot on motivation. Motivation is sometimes not enough. Motivation is just something like kind of like the start point. It's the kindling to the fire. It's something you thought about. When somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get up in the morning and I'm gonna run, and I'll be very productive at work, and then I'm gonna do this." So you get up in the morning and you start running. You get up, you run, you get to work, and then all of a sudden somebody come in your office and they start gossiping. Next thing you know, an hour later, he's like, "Oh man, I'm off task." And then next thing you know, you run to go see somebody and they stop and talk to you. You're off task for another hour. And then by the end of the day, you end up not getting things done. It's because when you were motivated, you only focused on motivation. You didn't have a plan for when the motivation wore off. You know what I mean? Because in most cases, the motivation going to wear off. So in that moment, when somebody came in your office, if you had a bigger, if I had a bigger thought on, hey, look, I have to be disciplined today. Maybe I write me a note on my board or on my computer to say stay on task. So when coach comes in my office and he started talking and yapping about what he did over the weekend when he wasn't at the club, because he don't go to the club, remember? But he didn't came in my cubicle and started talking about some stuff, and now I'm off task because I want to know what's going on because I'm interested, because that's what we usually do. We talk and we chit chat at work. So now I'm like, hey, I need to get motivated. I need to get focused on what I'm doing. So I need to figure out another way to stay on task. So I think sometimes, when we motivated, it's just not enough. You have to have something else to keep pushing you to stay on task so you can accomplish the things that you wanted to accomplish, and not have to leave the day feeling like that what you needed to get done you didn't get done. Because in some cases, depending on what type of job you have, some of those things, if you're the only person, they roll over to the next day. And I'm in one of those positions, like nobody don't do my job when I'm not there. So which is fine, I don't have a problem with it, but um it is what it is. You got anything else to add to any of that?
No, man, that was pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So again, we've grown. We 49 and 51 now. How have you how, how did you decide what you give your time and your energy to? Because we didn't come out the womb like this. And so how did you learn how to do that?
how did I learn it?
Or how did you decide what deserves your time and energy?
My priorities. I had to first identify priorities for me. Um, and once I identify the priorities for me, that helps me to understand what I give my time and energy and efforts to. When things present themselves, and they always do, when things present themselves that do not line up with your priorities, um, kind of like going back to what I said previously, I don't make a lot of time for pointless conversations. So, you may come to me and ask me to invest in some, I don't know, whatever. But if that thing is not within line with my priorities, that's a real quick and easy response that I give. Um, I don't dislike you. We can even be friends. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking, and you've experienced. You have people who come to you with multi-level marketing things and things of that nature. And they're really excited and they're motivated. But I understand that they're motivated because somebody showed them the potentiality of what could actually happen. They just didn't articulate all of the hard work that it takes to get there. So that's kind of like the thing, just using that as an example. To going back to the whole club reference, you can have a great conversation with somebody else about what happened at the club, last night while you standing there smelling like Hennessy and Black and Miles.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I'm not going to participate in that conversation. I will
Yeah.
at that I will go find something to do, because at the end of the day, that's not my conversation. So I think
Mm-hmm.
in that regard, I think everybody has to not only identify their priorities, but they also have to refine them over time. And as you identify and refine priorities, that kind of gives way to the things that you spend your time with. And it's not just the things, it's the people too.
Yeah, especially people. I think we give a lot of unnecessary time to people. Just like you coming over to my computer, coming over in my cubicle, chatting. And I know I'm using you and me, but this happens all the time. I see it all the time.
Mhm.
You see it on TV. You seem like, man, you see videos and people recording. Things are going on in the office, and it's always, it's why so much drama be going on in certain jobs. They talking and chit chatting at work. Not every job, you know what I'm saying? But I think, for me, one of the things that kind of I use to decide, um, I had to figure out what deserved my time and energy was, um, figuring out who I was, because at some point I didn't know who I was and I didn't have a purpose. I'm just out there just flailing in life. Anybody, I want to help people. You want some help? Here you go. Here goes here, help, help, help. You know what I mean? But I was over helping, and I don't know if that's a term or whatever, but I think I was over helping to the point to where I wasn't taking care of me, but I didn't know that. I thought that all I'm supposed to do is help people. We grow up and we learn that we're a servant. You know what I mean? But everybody doesn't deserve our servantship. You know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't know that until I went a little bit deeper to figure out who I was. And once I figured out who I was, then I was able to start prioritizing. All right, well, based off of what I got going in my life, you know what I'm saying? So I can focus on Coach's Corner. I can focus on Shell. I could, not in these orders, but these are my priorities. And if they don't line up with my purpose and my priorities, then, I don't have too much space for them. So for me, I had to first learn a little bit about who Unc was, before I could start even getting things in order, so.
Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a different viewpoint, right?
Ooh,
Not, yeah, I have a different viewpoint. I don't, I struggle with saying that people are not deserving of my time. Um, However, what I will say is that certain people, of course,
mm-hmm.
not a blanket statement, certain people may not necessarily appreciate the fact that you give them time
Mm,
or share time with them in certain regards. So they take the fact that you do so for granted. So that is a clear indication of a need to reduce the amount of time that you spend with that particular person, only because they're not in the space of appreciation. But
mm,
for me, I struggle with saying another person is undeserving, um, because I believe that I have benefited from a lot of things throughout my entire life that
mhm,
I was undeserving of. Um, so and again, I just wanted to say that piece because I
mhm.
get exactly what you're saying. I
Yeah.
just again, I think sometimes people don't necessarily appreciate the fact that you're outgoing, that you are, you're helping, you're seeking to help, you're seeking to add value
Mhm,
to others and things of that nature. And then they get to the point to where they feel entitled to it. And then they get to pick it up and put it down when they get ready to.
mhm. Yeah, I can definitely I can definitely see that perspective. Yeah. Fact or myth, brother? Fact or myth? Ready?
Myth.
Myth. Hey, I got the Mike Tyson thing going on a little bit over here. And the high pitched voice sometimes if I get too excited. Here we go. Checking your phone first thing in the morning helps you start the day right. Fact or myth? Myth.
We give
Myth.
everybody in the chat
Myth with an S.
opportunity. We give people in the chat an opportunity to respond before I respond. I already got my answer though.
You got it already?
Yes, sir.
Myth. Myth.
Oh man, we got
Myth.
what, three people so far? Four? Okay.
Myth. Myth.
How you doing there, Miss Charlotte Jordan? I didn't see you earlier. I thought I
Oh, she
spoke
on
to
the other. She on the other
you. Oh,
platform.
okay. Gotcha. I was
Mm-hmm.
troubleshooting a little bit. Okay.
Myth.
Um,
Myth.
ready for my answer?
Yep.
Neither.
Uh
It's not,
oh.
it's not a
Neither.
fact, nor is it a myth. It
Mm-hmm.
depends on what you're checking your phone for.
Bam.
If I'm checking my phone for TikTok first thing in the morning, then it is definitely a myth, right? But if I am checking my phone so I can see what my schedule looks like this morning before I get out and put my feet on the ground and all that other great stuff, then it could be a fact for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm in agreement with Coach. I feel that I think the same way. If like you said, if I'm doing something that's unproductive, that's fine. However, I also get when somebody may wake up and they may go spend time in the bathroom. They want to spend that time socializing, catching up on text messages too. So, like you said, I think it depends on what you're doing while you're on the phone the first thing in the morning. So, like Crystal Everett said, I agree with that. So it depends. Okay, not right or wrong. Somebody said you could be looking up scriptures too. So yeah, saying I know a lot of people who wake up and that's one of the first thing they do is their daily devotion, and sometimes they do it on their computer or
Yeah.
they do it on their phone. So definitely get all of those different perspectives. Um, Here we go. This could be a good one for Coach. Multitasking makes you more productive.
I'm sorry.
Multitasking. No, you can't answer yet. Don't answer yet.
Yeah, I know,
I know
right?
you over there ready to bust.
That's what I'm saying, man. I can't play. I don't play.
Word.
Just so y'all know, I don't play poker. I just want y'all to understand that.
You
I
sure
did.
don't.
I lose all my money.
Mm-hmm. Charlene said we got her. He said, okay, y'all got her. What
It
we
was
got?
it was him. He did it.
Hey, what me? I would. You cannot multitask. No such thing as multitasking. Gabe on it would be. What say ye, brother Dwayne, brother
They're
Coach?
right. They're
You
right.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I think I don't know. I don't know where it came from. And at one point in time, I thought the same way, right? And that's why I made mention of, having TV on while I'm doing something. I'm not really watching TV. I'm working on what I'm working on, but it serves as white noise, right? And then every now and then I may take a break and see what's going on. But at the end of the day, when you call yourself multitasking, you're not really multitasking. Your brain is switching from task to task. And what ends up happening is that you're taking that much longer to do that task when if you just focus on that one task, you could be done with that one and then move to the next one. So it's definitely a myth.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. Here we go. Resting is just as important as working hard. Resting is just as important as working hard. Fact or myth?
There you go, Miss Charlotte.
Come on, Charlotte.
See all over it.
She is like flies on stink.
Did you say flies on stake?
Mhm. I got that from Charlotte, Ann, I think. Balls. TV on those. Yeah, there's the white sound. There's the white noise. Fact. You're right. Okay, coach. What we got?
Ready?
We ready?
Myth. Myth. Whoever told you that working hard was important?
mm.
I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
Whoever said that working hard was important, right?
Mhm.
Work smart. If you work smart, you'll be less tired. I
Mhm.
literally said that earlier. Like we spend a
Mhm.
lot of time trying to be busy, and we so busy and busy. But at the end of
Mhm.
the day, we're no more productive this week than we were this time last year. So if we focus on working smart, then it's not about working hard. So at the end of the day, working hard ain't important at all. Working in the direction of where you're trying to go is important. So yeah,
Yeah.
myth.
Myth.
That ain't implied, bro. You made that up. Stop that.
Hey, hey, it is what it is.
He says implied. No, they.
Oh man. Oh, Abe.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see it now. What's wrong with Sean Jordan? What's she over there doing?
She said she was doing true false.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm. That's why it's a fact, though.
Which one? The
I
whole.
guess the last one, what you were just saying. Uh,
Mm,
I
she.
guess if you think that working hard is important, then it would be a fact for you. You would probably agree with resting is just as important because this is what we always hear. So if you believe that, then I would think it would be fact for you. But I don't agree with the working hard thing. I used to, but I don't agree with that anymore. Not
Touche.
no more. Not
Hey,
no more.
touche.
Yeah. Now, there are certain areas that I may work hard at. You know what I mean? Like physical exercise sometimes. I may work hard at something. But I'm also working smart too. You know what I mean? It ain't just hard, it's smart too. So anytime I'm working hard at something, it's something in addition to it. Ain't usually just and it's usually only comes down to like working out. But
But even in that regard, that's not really
hmm
working hard. I'm
hmm
only I'm only exerting a certain amount of energy in a short period.
hmm yeah.
Like if like imagine let's change the dynamics.
Okay.
Since people since some of us want to play with this one, right? Let's change the
Yeah.
dynamics. What if the amount of time that you spend in the gym was the total time that you worked for the day? Now is it still working hard?
Mm-mm.
Exactly.
I ain't spending 8, 9 hours at the gym.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that. Here we go, folks. People who plan their day are always less stressed. People who plan their day are always less stressed. Sip my water.
I ain't got no tea today, so I'm drinking water too.
Yeah, I need to be. Uh-oh, we got a myth.
Hey, there you go, Abe. Abe said I'm going
Abe,
against the
Abe
grain on this one.
He's like, he said, they like, whatever I think, I'm just going to choose the opposite. I think that's where everybody's at right now. No, I'm just
No, you
kidding.
good. You good.
I know we got a smart chat over there.
Absolutely.
Bunch of myth. Not. Why? I want to know why is it a myth then? Why is it a myth, folks? Give me a reason why you think it's a myth.
Because they may have a high stress job. That's why.
Mm. Always makes it a myth. Yep, there you go right there. And then here's my thing. Just because you plan it, don't mean it's gonna get fulfilled. 'Cause that was
Sure.
like my other thing.
Sure. But I go a different route.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you plan it doesn't mean there's void of stress.
That too.
Planning never implied stress free.
Nope.
Planning just means that I know what I'm gonna be doing.
Yep.
But there still could be a degree of stress in there.
Here we go. I appreciate those fact and myth, man. I appreciate everybody's responses. If you haven't already, we only got about 10 more minutes of the show. Go ahead and hit that like button, share it, and do all of those good things. Hit that bell for notifications too, so you know when we post new content. But for the most part, we will see y'all here on Tuesday. We're here on Tuesdays and Fridays, and some other different things too. So Saturdays and some Sundays, but we'll let y'all know at the end of the show. Here we're gonna go. Where we're gonna go. And I know this may be a struggle for you, or may not be, because you are already, real intentional with your time already. So If it's not nothing now, it's okay to refer back to maybe a time in your past. So what's one area where you're actively trying to be more intentional with your time?
Um, I would say that I'm trying to be more intentional with my time in the area that defines what my future looks like. I think we're so conditioned with living in the now, um, that a lot of times we don't necessarily look in the future. And so the things that I'm doing now, I am intentional there. I'm trying to be more intentional there to set the conditions for the future that I'm trying to um, exist in, be in, and things of that nature. Um, because I don't, because I'm, because I am intentional with what I do. Um, I can't say that there are areas that I want to whatever. Now, if I had to pick something tangible or something more specific, sure, I'm trying to be more intentional about my relationship with the Most High. That's all the time. That's not going to stop. Like you can ask me that 10 years from now. That's going to be my number one answer. But because that's my number one answer, I am trying to be more intentional about doing things that set the conditions for the future.
Yeah. Um Shoot. Mine is relationships. Um a couple in particular. Right. So one is with um oldest son and pretty much my granddaughters, man. I do not call and I don't call and talk to them like I should. And I know that. I know that I need to be intentional with spending more time with them. They're 3 and 8 and they live in Colorado. But that's no excuse. I definitely need to be more intentional with that. My other one is with my mother. Um, my mother watches pretty much every show on Tuesdays and Friday nights. My mother's only 18 years older than me. So, but my mother's still, I'm 49, so she was 67. She'll be 67 in May. She don't mind me telling her age because she says she looked good for her age. So, but those are definitely two. And particularly with my mother is I listen, when I hear people talk about, they have relationships with their mother and they have, standalone appointments with their mother every week. I had a coworker who recently lost his mother. I've already lost my father, but I think that that is one relationship that I need to be more intentional with. Um, Talking with her in the chat, um, on Tuesdays and Fridays is one thing. And we do talk, but probably every couple of months. We talk, we're in a group chat with my a couple of my with my siblings and stuff like that. But I think, for me, I need to be more intentional when it comes to my time with building and strengthening those relationships. Now I have great relationships with all of those people. However, my mother's not going to be here forever. And then there's going to come a time to where my granddaughters are old enough and, I don't want to be so far removed that they don't really want to have a conversation. Or every time they talk to me, it's like talking to a stranger. So when it comes to intentional with my time, we always talking about relationships and stuff, but those are relationships are two areas where I'm actively trying to be more intentional with my time.
Yeah,
I made it through.
nah, that's good, man. Um, and that's part of the setting the conditions for the future, right? Um, I would tell you about this young soldier that I knew. He would talk to his mother like once a month, And then one day, out of the blue, he just had this question because, again, wasn't focused so much on going to the gym, but focused more on the quality of thoughts. If you can talk to your mother once a month, why can't you talk to her once a week? I didn't have a response when he asked me that. So I was like, okay. Now, the person that asked me that was the same person that didn't have the response. So that's part of what I was talking about previously. When you focus on the quality of thought and then you start asking yourself quality questions, then you get quality answers. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you how it happened for me. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's the standing appointment. So every Saturday morning at 7 a.m., we're on the phone. Now I ain't gonna now listen. I'll be honest with y'all. Sometimes I'm a little delinquent. Might be 7:05, 7:10 sometimes, or depending upon what's going on that day, I may send her a text and say, "Hey, mom, I got this going on. I'll give you a call later on this afternoon, or I'll give you a call tomorrow." But at least, at a minimum, once a week, we're on the phone talking. Now we have a group chat as well. Me, her, and my sisters, and every now and then, we drop a little fun in there, talk about this, whatever the case may be. But that being intentional about having that one conversation at a minimum once a week, um, it has the potential to set the condition for and this is not saying again anything about where your relationship is, but for me, it had the potential to set a better quality relationship between me and my mother. So now the other side to it is that she also had to be receptive of it because I couldn't push it on her. Now, fortunately enough for me, she was. She was all for it. In fact, sometimes she's like, well, "Why can't we talk every day?" Wait a minute, Mama. Wait a minute. I'm
Yeah. Who we gonna talk about?
I'm joking, but
Mhm.
it's just stuff like that. Now, because that's the thing. Again, for the future, now it's like, how do I do that with my dad? And so, for me, it was going to him and having an honest conversation. Well, unfortunately, during that conversation, it wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. That relationship wasn't ready. And so, because of that conversation, I gave him the space that he needed. But now we're at the point to where not only do we talk more than we did during the time we had that conversation, up to the point to where the silence was broken, but we have good conversation, which is one of the things that I went to him about. I said, "Pop, we talk on the phone, and it's like I can start the timer 5 minutes. All right, son, just call, check on you, talk to you later. Bye." I'm like, "Man, I ain't get a chance to." So I say, "Hey, can we, work on this relationship? I thought we had good relationship. Mm, what is the evidence that you have that say we have a good relationship?" So it's not that I was challenging him; I was just
Mhm.
making him think, right? And then over time, and again, I don't know what it was, and it's not my responsibility to know. It's only my responsibility to appreciate once he was ready to have it. So now we'll get on the phone and we're on the phone 20, 30, 45 minutes, just catching up, talking, laughing, joking. We may talk about a little Bible every now and then as well, but it's good. And I think that goes back to what I was saying. In that future focus thinking, being intentional about the things that I'm doing today sets the condition for the life that I want to live tomorrow. And that includes my mother and my father and my son and my grandson, right? I'm sorry, my kids and my grandson, um, and connecting with these beautiful people in the chats as well. And so that's why I am as adamant about ensuring that quality is the thing, not quantity, but quality. Make sure that when we hit, and you heard me say this multiple times, when I hit that live button, I want to make sure that we're at the end of the show, I can lay back and say, "Man, that was a good show,"
Mhm.
because that's part of that intentionality. So I done rambled on a little bit, and I'm not trying to
No.
steal your thunder in relation to that, but I went through that. I'm sharing, what that looked like for me.
And that's why I use this show as an opportunity to cheat and get inside view from you as well. You know what I'm saying? So, because I like that. I definitely receive all of that, and one thing that I thought about, early on when you were speaking was, I said that we have a great relationship, but that's my perspective. I never asked her, or talked to her about what her perspective is. Is it great for her? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe she wants more time. Maybe we spend more time. Maybe you spend too much time. Maybe it's she want to do once every 6 months, not every 3 months, so um and then when you talked about your dad, it's like, man, I remember I ain't like that dude. What I mean? I couldn't stand him. I didn't want to be like him at all. I grew up most of my life not wanting to be like him, only to grow up and figure out I wanted to be just like him, be just like who he was at the core, minus the vice that he had that eventually, kind of got the best of him. But who he was as a core, man, I'd love to be, who that guy was. Like that guy was great. He was an amazing man. So, and I missed those conversations. So, um, before I get too all mushy and my onions cut onions again, I'm gonna roll on to the last question, man, and we're gonna get up out of here because I want to kind of give them a little bit, and this is definitely in your wheelhouse when it comes to this question right here, especially when we're talking about mindset. So as we close out, man, this is not necessarily a final thought, but this is the final question. But I'm just gonna let you handle this because I just want you to handle this question, and then no, actually, you know what? Hold on, pause. I'm gonna rewind real quick because I got to get to one comment, but I want to end with that, right? And it's only because it was one that Charlotte Ann had asked earlier, and I forgot it. So, real quick, is there a such thing as wasting time, or is it our opinion?
In my opinion,
There you go.
in my opinion, the answer is no. There's no such
Mhm.
thing as wasting time. I don't own time. And again, I say it that way because I am answering this question according to my core beliefs. And my core belief tells me that time and seasons don't belong to me. So I can't waste something that's not mine. Now, I can squander the opportunity that I have under the umbrella of time, but I can't waste it. I can make bad decisions and do actions, do tasks that aren't fruitful for the life that I'm trying to live. But as far as wasting time, I don't think there's any such thing as wasting time because regardless of whatever it is that we do, there's always an opportunity to learn something. And if I take that opportunity to learn something, that should change my behavior as I move forward. Case in point, I go back to the question that you asked previously about being motivated and then accomplishing nothing. That's why I
Mhm.
started out like, what if my intentions were to do nothing that day? Then at the end of the day, I mean, what happened? Exactly what I planned to. Now, the other side of that says that if I was motivated to do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then for whatever reason, I got a phone call, and that phone call drained the life out of me, and now I'm just not motivated to do anything. Now, what happened? Well, I opened myself up to, and I think you mentioned this earlier, I'm opening myself up for somebody to come and dump their trash in my yard. And so now, after they dumped their trash in my yard, that trash had an adverse effect on me, my mood, my attitude, and I allowed it to change the trajectory of the day. So all of that is a thing. I believe wholeheartedly that life must quantify the thing that you believe. So if I believe that I have good relationships, then time and life is going to reveal it or challenge that perspective one way or the other. But that's an opportunity to learn and grow. Like we attempted something this morning, we gonna learn and grow. Not this morning. At the beginning, of the show, we gonna
Yeah.
learn and grow from that because
Uh-huh.
that was outside of the norm,
Yep.
and I'm that was on me, not nothing I did. Again, it was what they did out there. So time is never wasted. Time is continuous, right? The past, the present, and the future. Do I learn from the past so I can change what I'm doing in the present so I can set the conditions for the future? That's the number one question that we all must entertain. Go back in time, right? Think back in time, reflects. When we were younger, We didn't learn a lot from our past. We just kept repeating the same behaviors over and over again. Therefore, we kept getting in the same bad relationships. We kept dealing with the same bad friends. We kept getting the same outcome until one day we just got tired. So I love this question because at the end of the day, time does not belong to me. Therefore, I cannot waste it.
Appreciate that, coach, and appreciate you, Charlotte Jordan, for that question. There was another one. I'm not gonna just gonna hit it. We're not gonna answer it, but Miss Nodella Jordan said there would be a great topic. What qualify good relationship qualifies a relationship as good. So we'll take that and maybe have a discussion about it and see what we come up with. So thank you for that suggestion, Miss Jordan. Appreciate it. And then lastly, where we're gonna go, folks, again, I'm gonna pop this question up for Coach. He's gonna close us out with this last question right now, because again, he is the mindset coach. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Coach, what role does mindset play in making time for what matters?
Do you mind if I alter this just a little bit as I talk about it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Um, it is the role. It is the star of the show. It is the
Mhm.
leading. It is the leading actor. It is the. It is the script writer for the play. It is the producer. It is the audience. It is everything. It doesn't matter what you think you want to do. It will always include mindset. So at the end of the day, when we look at this, what role does mindset play in making time? Pause. I can't make time, right? However, and I'm gonna pause there for a second and leap over it for what matters. Okay, future focus, right? I won't necessarily understand the evidence, the fruits of my labor until tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day, or the next day. So my responsibility is just to keep planting seeds. We live in a world to where we really do believe in the bartering system. If I give the Garfield, Garfield must give back to me at the same level or greater that I give to him. That's bartering. That's not relationship. Make no mistake about it. I'm going to say it again. That is called bartering. That's not a relationship. If I give the Garfield, it's because of who Garfield is to me. And it doesn't require him to give anything back in return. I gave it to him out of the kindness of my heart because I wanted him to have it, period and point blank. Now, if he gives to me at a later point in time, I pray that it's for the same reason. So when we look at the role that mindset play, it creates in time for what actually matters. Make no mistake about it, relationships are the foundation of human creativity. Stop thinking about sex, y'all. Y'all nasty. I ain't talking about that.
Mhm.
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about something beyond that. When we have great relationships, we now have the ability to create, not just within the space of relationship for the people who are in relationship, but for the people who receive from that relationship. This is a perfect example. You guys get the opportunity to listen to me and this young man talk every week. We create content for you, and we pray that the content serves you well each and every week. So it is a mindset that, number one, came up with the idea, that nurtured the idea, that had meetings with, it had meetings. We came up with logos. We came up with talking topics. At least I think it was what, 10 weeks in advance. Things
Yeah.
that nature. Like we did all of that in the beginning. That is creativity. That's what relationship did. Relationship creates. So now, when you look at what the potentiality, and I love what Sister Nodella said because I think she's absolutely right. If a relationship isn't creating, it's not a good relationship. I'm gonna start there, and I'm gonna drop that landmine right there and put it on pause for the next time for the time that we actually create that show.
Man, I like that right there, man. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, y'all can find us here each week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coach just dropped a big old fat nugget for y'all, so I hope y'all picked it up. If y'all didn't, y'all need to go back, clip that, and watch that again. Also Friday nights on Empower Perspective podcast. I mean YouTube channel. You can check us out over there as well. What you got, Coach? Before we roll up out of here this evening.
I ain't got nothing.
Uh, there you go. Hey, but with that, with that said, folks, man, we really appreciate all y'all being here this evening. If you hadn't already, hit that like button, share it, and do all of those things before you roll up out of here this evening. And with that being said, I guess we out. So have a great one.